Okay, welcome back. We're going to be talking about using the forms today within our student data tool, which was developed as part of the Serving Students with Disabilities During Periods of Remote or Blended Learning LEA toolkit. Okay, so to jump right in, go ahead and open up your Google Drive and jump right into one of the forms that you've copied over. This is an example of our educator input form. I want to mention a couple ways in which you can customize this, this form in each of the forms. So one of the things that you can do is you can require a response. So in order to keep this as flexible as possible, OSSE hasn't pre-required any of these responses. But it may be a very good idea to go ahead and require that a last name is submitted or a first name is submitted. So to do that, simply click on the question that you would like to be required and go ahead and move this over so that that is selected. So now anybody entering information to the form will be required to provide a first name before they can submit. Again, you might want to do that with the last name, and you're welcome to do that with any of the questions. You'll see a red asterisk appear when it is required. Something else that you may want to do is adjust the allowable responses. So for example, if you don't think that these are the correct groupings of the percent of time in which a student has attended their learning periods, then you can go ahead and you can change it. You could say 5 to 20%. You could, take away one option. Add an option down here. You can do whatever you would like to these options. And finally, something that you and your LEA might be interested in doing in order to sort of better match the processes and projects that your team is working on is you might want to add a question. Oops, I do not want to restart now. Thank you, Windows. You might want to add a question. And so you simply click this question mark, say add a question, whatever your question might be, go ahead and enter it there. And then you can also move this up or down depending on where you want it in the list of questions. Google offers many different types of answers. So you could do a checkbox where people check multiple selections. You might do multiple choice or just allow short answer. All of those are options available in Google Forms. One important thing that I do want to mention is that if you are going to be changing forms or changing anything about the form, it is probably a good idea to first just enter a test answer. So to do this, you could just say first name test, last name test, select submit, and now that those answers will be recorded in the student data tool. And the reason that this is important is that as you add new questions and new possible responses to the form, sort of the column that those questions appear in the student dashboard will get all jumbled up. And the column it appears in is important because that is how many of the formulas and dependencies are built. So for the sake of using the tools in the dashboard, I would just submit one test case submission where the first and last name is test. That will sort of freeze all of the questions in the rows. And then you're free to go ahead and add possible responses and possible new questions. And then what will happen in the student dashboard, in the student data tool, is that those questions will all appear all the way to the right of the sheet so that it won't interfere with the questions upon which dependencies and formulas are already built in the student data tool. Okay, so that was a lot, but again, you and your team may want to think about requiring responses to questions, may want to adjust any of the allowable responses, and may want to remove or add questions to the forms. In order to preserve the formulas that already exist in the student data tool, I suggest submitting one test submission before changing any of the questions or adding responses. Okay, and that is it on using the form. So again, please check out OSSE Serving Students with Disabilities During Periods of Remote or Blended Learning webpage to check out additional resources on this tool as well as other professional development offerings. Thank you.